Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon. It's Friday and it's 4 o'clock in the UK. That can only mean one thing. It's the Johnny S Marketing Show. And we have catapulted our reach out of our narrow little community on Facebook because this is streaming live through the miracle of StreamYard. Thank you, StreamYard, by the way. StreamYard is one of the sponsors of the Johnny S Marketing Group. So clearly we're live in the JHM group. If you're watching this, hello. We're also live in the Client Attraction Academy, which is our exclusive members only group. We're live on the Johnny Cooper Global page, business page, which anybody on the planet can see, but probably isn't. We're also live on my personal profile. We're live on my LinkedIn profile. How amazing is that? I can remember just 12 short months ago, we were begging LinkedIn to let us go live, and now they're just saying, yeah, you can go live, which is fantastic. We're also live in a very obscure place, my Twitter account, which has got 55,000 followers, but nobody says anything or does anything or notices anything. So I shall be very surprised if anyone's watching this on Twitter, but if you are, hello. And finally, it's on the Johnny S Marketing YouTube channel. And Michaela, where have you shared it to?
Oh, everywhere. So like you, this will go out to LinkedIn, and like you, we have the same issues, but we're now live on LinkedIn, and of course my own personal page, and of course family law assistance page for people who are going through divorce, separation. It's being
that's absolutely beautiful. We will touch on your business as we should, because we haven't caught up on a live stream for a couple of years now. A lot of things have changed for you, haven't they? But if you're watching this live, can you in the comments just go hi, hello, good afternoon, whatever you want to do in the comment stream wherever you are. It will show up in StreamYard. However, if you're on Facebook and you haven't given permission to reveal your name, you will have to say your name. So if you want to go like, hey Johnny, it's Dave, or hey Johnny, it's Michael, whatever, or Sally, or whatever, because we don't know who you are otherwise, and it's all just a bit weird. So tell us who you are. But it's lovely to have you here. Give us some hearts, give us some thumbs as well. Let's get this party going. Let's get it on fire. As you know, when Facebook sees that you guys are engaging, it will show this broadcast to more people. So we can hopefully get a bit of an exponential growth in watchers whilst we're at it. This is going to be a lively session. Do you know what triggered this? Apart from the fact that Michaela and I are old pals and we should be talking anyway. It's the Depp versus Heard malarkey, and I chimed in, didn't I, on your post last week about this, like which side you want. I mean, look, that is a total clickbait post, isn't it? Which side you want? Because everybody picks a side, don't they, Michaela?
Yeah, and that kind of images real life as well, because when people just break up, people do pick sides, don't they? You know?
Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
I don't know if clickbaity, but people,
it's right. I mean, every time I've got divorced, I got divorced from my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, all their mates, as well as all my wife's mates who thought I was, you know, some kind of evil whatever what. Whereas I probably have the same opinion of all her mates anyway. So there you go. Yeah, so no, it does do that. It does polarize things, doesn't it? But what I pointed out, we might as well get this discussion going, because you guys, if you're watching this live, please do take part here. You know, we'd like to hear from you what your opinions are. But I said, when Michaela asked me to pick a side, I said I'm on Team Johnny, and I spelt it without the H because I meant me Johnny, not him Johnny. Not Pirates of the Caribbean Johnny, but Pirates of Sutton Coldfield Johnny. I said I'm on my team. Yeah. I care not one iota about two white privileged actors, multi-millionaires, farting about screwing up their lives. I do not care at all. And why? Michaela, because it has no impact on my life whatsoever. And I was watching a talk with a very, very intelligent rational chap the other day. I might remember his name in a bit, but he he talked about the concept of the circle of concern.
Mm.
And he said what we need to do in the Western world these days as individuals to ensure our success and to help with our sanity and mental health is we all need to compress our circle of concern. We need to reduce it. We need to stop caring about things and take an interest in things which have no bearing on our lives and have no basis for improving our lives at any point. So this covers a lot of the stuff on social media, most if not all of the stuff in news media, and just things which, if we concern ourselves with, will do a number of destructive things. Because news is generally negative, number one, it'll probably depress us. Yeah, it'll probably get us really fed up, and it might make us frightened, make us fearful. That's something that news does quite often, isn't it? You know, is Putin going to fire a nuclear weapon at us? That's a terrifying prospect, isn't it? So if you spend any time, any part of your life thinking about that, you're going to be scared. Yeah. Now, being scared and being depressed are not useful emotions either. They're not things that are going to help us in our lives and make things better. That's the first thing it does. The other thing it does, it distracts us. Every minute that we spend concerning ourselves with those things or consuming those things in the media is a minute when we're not doing something useful. You know, we're not spending time on our business with our families. Would I rather go for a bike ride in Sutton Park for half an hour instead of surfing social media for half an hour, doom scrolling? Of course I would. You know, there's no comparison between the two in terms of the benefits it brings to my life. So when I saw a post like yours, you know, particularly from somebody I respect, I wanted to chime in and just join in the debate and say, look, guys, who cares? Why does this matter? It matters to them. And the third reason that all this is bad for us, and I'm speaking to our audience here as Michaela, you know, personal brands, people who are trying to make their way online. When you express an opinion about any of that stuff, whatever it is, you know, COVID, vaccinations, the war, you know, this sort of stuff. When you express an opinion, there'll roughly be an equal number of people agree with you as disagree with you. So if you're trying to build an audience of people who respect you as an authority and want to move a little bit closer to you, you've immediately reduced the chance of that happening by 50%. Because half the people who read your opinions on the news, on the topics of the day, are going to disagree with you. That's generally the case. Not always, but, you know, it's 50-50 or 40-60 or something like that. So my question to the audience here is, why would we go out to actively repel a whole bunch of people, a large segment of our audience, who might otherwise be attracted to what we've got to sell? So I'm just saying, stop it. Stop getting involved with all this malarkey. It serves no useful purpose. I think the caveat to that, and this is probably why you did it, is that you're discussing with the herd Depp thing, you're discussing something which is at the heart of your business, aren't you?
Yeah,
people breaking up, in other words.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole thing, especially with the Depp v. Heard, is that people relate to it. You know, people split up all the time. So people split up all the time. People are nosy. And I think if you caught the 5 minutes just before we were hitting live, one of the things that we were saying is that, you know, laws might change over the globe. People don't, you know. Yes. It doesn't matter whether Johnny Depp's made an application in the UK or the US. Nobody cares about that. In fact, nobody even cares actually about the article that was written in the beginning. No one cares. What they care about is people have an opinion because it's relatable. And when we're dealing, in my business anyway, with people who are splitting up, of course it's polarizing. I don't think that there's any neutral way of talking about anything, particularly in my business.
Yes. Well, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Now, everyone's got an opinion on something. And I think this is entirely valid, to talk about stuff which is relevant to your tribe, relevant to your business and your product. I mean, if I'd done that post and I'd posted which you pick kind of thing, which side you're on, and particularly if I'd expressed a side of my own, all the people who are on the other side would think John is an idiot at that point. So there will be no. It's a zero-sum game, isn't it? Me posting something like that. But it's good to be controversial and also, to post what you stand for in terms of your tribe, in terms of the modality, what the thing that you're offering, if you like. So we've got to be very careful here, guys. We've got to be very careful for those reasons that I mentioned about wasting time and investing emotional energy in stuff that has no useful purpose to your business. You risk damaging your brand, don't you? Can we have some thoughts on this? Because there's quite a few of you watching this live now. What say you in terms of using social media to express opinions about things that are in the news? The topics of the day. Do you do that? If so, why do you do that? And what do you get out of it? What have you gained positively? What have you gained negatively? Drop your comments in the feed and we will see them. And we can talk to you about it. So it's about narrowing your circle of concern. In other words, stop fussing about things which have no impact on your life and never will, that kind of thing. While we're just waiting for a few comments to build up a bit of momentum, talk to us about this, folks. Michaela, tell us where you've got to, because this is a great journey, isn't it? A couple of years back, you and I were working together. We were putting together the basics of your business. I can't claim credit for where you've got to today, but I had a little finger in the pie at one point, didn't I?
You absolutely did.
Where have you got to with your fantastic business now, you and Stephen?
So we help people represent themselves in court. So fun fact, 70% of people that go walk through the doors, virtual or otherwise, doors of family law, represent themselves. So we help them, guide them through that minefield that is family law. And then yes. It was a running joke because when the pandemic hit, we were kind of in a great position because we often said that 2020 was the year that people joined us online because prior to the pandemic, we were those nutters that were traveling around the country, clocking a god.
I know.
Crazy stuff. So
I think you kept 4N afloat, didn't you, for a couple of years?
Seriously, yeah, completely. You're so right, Johnny. Yeah. But the mileage was unbelievable. So we had to be online. We
used to go down to Devon, didn't you, in places like that. You're all over the place.
I think once I was doing a court case in Ipswich, and then the very next day I was doing a court case in Haverfordwest. And for those of you that
I remember that.
Right, for those of you who are watching, and my geography is not the best, but that was a long way. Just
4-hour drive, wasn't it? Something.
Yeah, exactly. So at the start of the pandemic, we had more work than we knew what to do with. Everyone was coming to us because we were already virtual and online. So we just took it to the next level. And we turned family law assistants into a franchise. And now we've got franchisees. We cover the country. And what's lovely is that family ethos, that arm around the shoulder that we had with our clients. I am super proud, blessed / humble, all the rest of it, to have that ethos that we run through our franchisees. We've got a fantastic team and I'm super proud of each and every one of them.
Oh, it's absolutely brilliant. I'm super proud of you as well. What's also good about your business is that the two of you work together, of course, you and Stephen. You're both smart people, two of my favourite people. And it's not every husband and wife team that could work together, is it? I mean, are there challenges there still for you guys?
It's funny. That's a great question, by the way, Johnny. We've had to work out which is his bit, which is my bit.
That's so important, isn't it?
Right. So the kind of division of labour. So I tend to do the more front of house stuff. I do the training and the legal stuff. Stephen's the geek out of the two of us. Stephen's the stat guy. Stephen's the process guy. In his head, he is metaphorically taking apart the clock that he had when he was 12 and putting it all back together. So he's the processing guy. He's the wizard that makes everything happen. Me, my tech abilities, he gets the Scooby look from me, the huh, when things don't go quite to plan. I'm like, what happened to my press? So yes, we've learned to. It's been challenging because obviously we live together, we work together. It's a 24/7 gig, but yeah, we've ironed out those issues.
Yeah. And what's the, apart from division of labour, are there any other secrets to husband and wife working together, in case anybody watching is on that bandwagon as well?
Yeah, so I would say my pro tip is spending and having your own life outside, because this can get all consuming, especially people who watch this and who are working for themselves. Just that on its own can be overwhelming, all consuming, because it's your life. This is your baby. This is what you do day in and day out. And then all of a sudden you've got a marriage to cope with that. So having that division outside of the business. And sometimes that's not always an easy balance to strike. I joked we went away to Hamburg for a weekend away. And I got to say, Johnny, between me and you and everybody else apparently that's watching, it was the first time that I went away with my husband. But a business partner didn't go away.
Not your business partner.
Yeah, exactly. So making sure that we have time away from the business, super important.
Yeah, that's tremendous. Yeah, my wife works with me in the business very, very much sort of in the back room, and I just leave it to it. She's doing well. I've given her a little bit of an outline that she's built on and carved out her own way of doing things, and just gets on with it on a daily basis. It's fantastic, really. We've got some comments coming up here. Shall we have a read? So my very good friend Nikki Gorringe says that I have a lot to say, and the more I learn about trauma, the more my thoughts change, but I'm very reluctant to voice my opinion for fear of driving people away. Yeah, I mean, it's a viable fear, isn't it? And I think where our opinions are valid and should be heard is when they're relevant to our business. In other words, people who want to be attracted to us, or the people that we want to attract to us, need to understand what our brand values are. What our mission in life is. They also need to understand our brand enemies, the stuff that we rail against. So I don't mind posting something about some stupid spammy marketer who's done some ridiculous DM or something, because most of the people in the community will side with us on that, and if they don't, they're probably not a good fit for the community. But that's a whole lot different, isn't it, from posting about your opinion on vaccines, for example, which is just going to polarize the community in a not so useful way. So yeah, good point, Nikki. And I wouldn't suggest you'd be fearful of it. Just be careful, really. We got a comment as well from Tammy Caulfield. Is Tammy in your community, Michaela?
I seem to recognise her. Hi, Tammy.
Yeah, I think I recognise her name. When I was at a time in my life where everything in my life was low vibrational, I think I know what you mean by that. Sounds a bit woo-woo. I used to always slur my opinions and cause conflict on social media. But since having a lifestyle change, going through spiritual awakening, etc., I deleted celebrities that I followed and deleted all news pages. What a great idea. I can't imagine the concept of following a celebrity. I've never done that in my life. Never done that. Sounds a bit stalky to me. I do not watch mainstream TV. Yeah, I don't either. All our TV is on demand now, so Amazon Prime, Netflix, all that good stuff. I'm very choosy on what energy I allow into my life, what I put my energy into. If it doesn't serve me, I ain't interested. Bingo. That could be a summary of this whole session, couldn't it, really? Exactly. If it doesn't serve, you just ignore it. I mean, there's so much going on in the world that you could be interested in. I mean, can you imagine, just as a kind of bizarre example, you somehow got into Japanese folk culture or something, and you started logging into a Japanese news site. You did all kinds of things about people jumping off the Tokyo tube platform under a train and stuff like that. You think, what has that got to do with me? Why? And particularly tragedies seem to draw us in, don't they? We've seen so many posts these days with the Ukrainian flags on and all that kind of thing. But here's my 2 penneth on that, Michaela. People are dying all around the world every day, aren't they? you know, the war in that area is utterly horrible and reprehensible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Incredibly tragic. But, you know, multiple small people are dying all around the world every day anyway, from all kinds of things, you know, from falling under a bus to, you know, getting some horrible disease to being shot by their husband if they're in America, all this kind of stuff. And we can't invest in everyone's tragedies, can we? We really can't. And, you know, focusing ourselves on the things that will improve our own lives, our well-being, for example, our health, our mental health, because all that stuff is the antithesis of that, isn't it? It's not improving your mental health, learning about the misery of millions on you know, in another part of the world. I hope that doesn't sound so brutal. It's not that you don't care. You care to the extent that you recognise it's, you know, it's horrible and it's tragic and the rest of it. But
I think that's healthy. I think it's healthy, Johnny, because I mean, you know, especially in the job that we do, it's very stressful. You know, we're dealing with a lot of controversial, highly hostile. You know, it's stressful. So the last thing that I'm with you. I have Netflix and Amazon, and I have to limit what I watch and take on board and invest emotionally.
Yeah. I tell you what, I'm investing emotionally in at the moment, and this is probably contrary to what I've been saying so far. This is very emotionally draining. It's a show on Amazon Prime called The Handmaid's Tale.
Love that.
Yeah, but it's so gloomy, so dystopian, isn't it?
I know, but you can't stop watching it, can you?
Can't stop watching it. Aunt Lydia. You know, it's just, and it makes you question. If you're not watching this, I do recommend it if you can get your hands on Amazon Prime somewhere or other. It's a dystopian near future show about basically the fall of America following a civil war. I've only got to season 3, so I haven't actually they haven't really revealed much about the civil war, how it came to be. But basically, the American government's been overthrown and replaced by a religious government, deeply fundamentalist Christian, and they've renamed the country Gilead, and it's run by a series of commanders going in rank up to high command. The whole thing's based on Bible teachings, basically. The complete subjugation of women. It's brutal, isn't it? It is really. Oh my God! What season have you got to? Have you got to any good news yet?
Yeah, there is light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm not going to give away too much. I've been emotionally invested in Reinventing Anna from a business.
Oh yeah, I watched that. I watched that. Yeah.
Perspective, I thought that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's what I loved about Reinventing Anna. That's on Netflix. No, it was on Disney Plus, wasn't it? No, Netflix. Yeah. What I found compelling about Anna was that it shows the power of fake it till you make it. Somebody who had literally nothing to sell or to promote, and literally no money either, to show up in, you know, one of the most difficult closed communities in the world, you know, the New York social scene, and to impress them enough that people were throwing money at her is incredible. Of course, all based on fraud, so it wasn't ultimately a lifestyle to try and emulate, I think. So Facebook users said, I can see it now. Sarah Anchors. Hello, Sarah. People are hardwired to seek news of danger. Yeah. And tough times. We're primal beings. Isn't this fantastic? This is exactly what the news media have understood and got so good at.
Yeah.
So good at. Can you imagine a news headline that says, everything great. Brilliant times ahead. It's going to be amazing. You know, you're so lucky to be alive. Can you imagine those kind of headlines? It just wouldn't happen, would it? No. And we are primal beings in a modern world, and negative, dangerous situations need to be avoided to prevent the dangerous situation from happening to us. It's where stress comes from. Yeah, you know, I think more than the dangerous situation itself, the danger for most people is believing that might affect them.
Yeah.
It's the fear around it, isn't it, that might happen. Probably the number one fear these days is, what's Putin going to do? There's still a lingering fear about the pandemic, isn't it, and what might be the next pandemic. There's fears about the economy as well. Create your own economy, I say. Forget the economy. Come on, let's make our own economy. But it's the fear around that rather than the actual reality. And I just add to what Sarah's very eloquently said, that as humans we are very good at inventing fictional future realities, imagined future realities, which when you get there, they don't actually happen, do they? In other words, the future is hardly ever as bad as we imagine it to be. There are, obvious exceptions where it could be worse, but in most cases, what we think might happen never happens. We're terrible at predicting the future, aren't we?
Yeah.
Who's that? Is that a pussycat?
There's 4 of them, so apologies, but they like to be centre of attention. So.
That is fantastic. Listen, dive in on the debate here, folks. So I don't know whether there's a debate or rather just, I think Michaela and I are broadly in agreement here, that the noise on social media, the negative noise on social media and in the news media, which obviously infiltrates social as well, we have to be very careful how we apply a filter here. And for me, the smaller the mesh on the filter, the tighter the filter, the better our lives are going to be. Because we need to be spending time focusing on our own lives, our own futures, building a life for the people who matter to us, our families, our communities, and narrowing our circle of concern so that we are very clear on, what gets inside that circle and what has to stay outside. Into that debate, by all means, stick some comments out. Let us know what you think about this. Hi, kitty cat. Yeah, says Sarah. Yeah, fantastic. So, Michaela, what's in the future for your glorious business then? You're franchising family law assistants. This is going global, isn't it?
Going global, yeah. So I grew up in the Middle East, and I
didn't know that.
Yeah, I grew up in the Middle East, and so kind of my home is there. So we went back.
I just thought you were totally Welsh. I did. I don't know.
Do you know? Fun fact, there's no Welsh at all. I have no Welsh in my DNA. Stephen got me one of those DNA kits. I did my DNA kit, and I was shocked. No, 95% English. But anyway, okay. So I grew up in the Middle East, and we went back there last year, and the idea struck me. So during lockdown, one of the things that I did was I put on a course for separated people going through divorce, separation, child matters, divorce, all that sort of stuff. And it was really popular. And
was in Dubai?
No, just online. I just did an online
course. Right.
And that got a lot of attraction. And it's funny, the things, happy coincidences. So one of the happy coincidences that came out of that course was the fact that I realized that people are people, and actually it was much more of the woo stuff, the coachy type stuff, the how do I get through that, how do I see my ex, how do I deal with court, how do I deal with professionals when I got social services and courts, and the court language, it kind of looks like English, it sounds like English, but definitely doesn't feel like English.
You're damn right there. Yeah,
right, yeah. And so I spend half of my time in court almost translating what's happening to what's really happening, or I'll walk out to the courtroom and I'm going, yeah, what a great result, and my guys there going, that was awful, that was terrible, and I'm sat there thinking, well, what courtroom were you in? So understanding just everyday stuff, that was what people really took away from the course. So when I went back over to Dubai, I realized that there was still this massive, huge expat community, and realized that there's a lot of separated parents who sort of work over in Dubai, but have a heck of a lot of court cases, the separation, the inequality, and of course family law assistance is international anyway. One of my favorite things to deal with is child international abduction. So I'm taking it, family law assistance is going global, and I'm going to be taking that course over there, as well as of course building our franchise back here in the UK, back on home turf.
Beautiful. Well, you realise family law assistance global is a lovely acronym, flag, isn't it?
Right?
Have you
I think
considered
so.
that?
I think so.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I bet you could probably still get the domain name fla.global, or maybe not. I'm not sure. Maybe you could. Anyway, it's something to think of, isn't it? Because the .global domains are not all taken just yet. Let's just get another comment from Nikki Gorringe. I come from a legal background. A 20-year-old son with significant learning difficulties just applied to the court protection to become guardians. It's so confusing. I feel so much for people who have no experience in legal form filling. Are you talking with Nikki about that already, Michaela? It might be
No,
worth a
yeah,
chat.
Nikki, get in touch. Yeah, more than happy to help. I relate. I totally understand that. Nikki, you are so right. You know, those forms from the court, they're not easy. They're not written for the layperson. And so I just
No.
sort of rant. Of course, there's been the new online no-fault divorce, which was kind of what the old system was meant to be, but it wasn't. But that's another story. So we've got this new sort of form filling for divorces now. And listen, I went on a seminar to the Law Society themselves, and they themselves were like, yeah, this is how we know, this is how it's supposed to go. This is how it's probably actually going to go. So, you know, by the Law Society admission, it's going to be fraught with difficulties. And as you know, Nikki, especially from a legal background, you can only imagine how backed up the courts are at the moment, which of course is making things hella frustrating for people going through that system. You know, so, yeah, never mind solicitors and barristers that sometimes don't always help. Sometimes you just need someone to say, this is what this means, and take the stress with that.
Well, Nikki, feel free to have a chat with Michaela if you want to. Michaela, I have to ask you, because you're right in the middle of all this malarkey now. In lockdown, have more people been getting divorced? Is that a true thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm breaking up.
Interestingly, though, it's a little bit why Divorce January is a thing. You know, what people tended to do was previously, before a global pandemic, they thought, you know what, I'm going to hang in there for the kids, or just get Christmas out of the way.
For Christmas. Let's get Christmas out of the way.
Yeah, get Christmas out of the way with. You have a hullabaloo with the parents, and then the obligatory family punch up, and then 1st of January, boom, I'm getting my application in. Lockdown was a little bit different. If anybody watched Big Brother, well, the global pandemic was like that on speed. And somebody got a great big magnifying glass. And if there was slightly any cracks in the relationship beforehand, you sure as hell knew that global pandemic lockdown would have made sure that made it a great big crater. So yes, when lockdown lifted, funnily enough, there was a heap of divorces and a heap of child applications, because guess what people were doing? Never mind the government's unclear advice to parents about how children should go between homes. And listen, we were one of the first people on there. So when Boris Johnson was giving out his advice to what separated parents should do for children, we were there. I went on a live myself and went, parents, if you are in this situation, do this. And then somebody at 11 o'clock at night changed the website, changed the advice, because, you know, Boris Johnson's all very big picture. Devil's in the detail. So when we went actually through the website, somebody had changed at 11 o'clock at night. So that was it. The live had to come off. A new one had to go on. By the way, you know, so yeah, it was an ever-changing thing.
Yeah. I can imagine people who don't really like each other having been locked down together for weeks. That's not a recipe for success, is it? Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, look, I think we've had a lively discussion this afternoon. I hope I've made this point adequately, folks, and I feel, you know, passionate about this. This is part of my brand values, that what Robin Sharma calls a monomaniacal focus. I'm not sure that's a word. Monomaniacal. So it suggests you become, you know, maniacally enthusiastic about one thing. That's what makes success. That's what will drive your business forward. Focusing on the one big thing, and on a daily basis, focusing on the next thing that you need to do day by day by day. Not trying to consume a smorgasbord of everything that's going on in the world. And specifically, not trying to concern yourself with everything that's going on in the world, only to the extent that it might affect you in any way. So that's my little thoughts on all this thing. And I know for a fact that the people who are incredibly successful in our profession, or indeed any profession, are those who focus on one thing and get really, really good at it and spend all the time doing it. Just like you guys do with your business, Michaela and Stephen.
Yeah, so I think one of our ethos is just to be that arm around the shoulder. But when you think of that big sort of mantra, it makes that actually everything that you do a lot easier. It simplifies things actually, in the language that we use on our website, the social media that we put out, how we are with our clients, how we are with our franchisees. It just ties everything nicely together.
Yeah, well, you're definitely consistent. I mean, Stephen's a particularly good writer about all this stuff. I read his posts all the time. Okay, fantastic. Well, it has been so lovely catching up with you. Thanks for carving some time out of your crazy busy schedule.
Pleasure.
And for all of those of you who are watching, if you would like to experience a live event with me, Desislava de Breva, the branding queen, who we know and love, Matthew Hughes, the king of video, my cohort Lisa Crofton, who's flying in from Florida, Simon Clements, our graphic designer, and Robin from Fearless Business, Robin Waite, who's absolutely fantastic too. We are actually all live on stage in Birmingham next Saturday, the 7th of May. There are probably 1 or 2 live tickets left. I haven't looked at the spreadsheet this morning to see who's joined, but it's a nice tight little session with just 30 people live on the Saturday. It's in Birmingham at the NEC, really easy to get to. But we've also launched some virtual tickets. So if you can't be there, if you're listening from overseas or you can't get to Birmingham for whatever reason, you can get a virtual ticket, and we're streaming the whole day, the whole 7-hour session live via Zoom. You'll get an exclusive Zoom link if you buy a virtual ticket. Now, it's called the Client Attraction Summit. So if you fancy some more details, just type CAS, Client Attraction Summit, wherever you're watching this, and I'll pick it up. One of us will pick it up after this session, and we'll get you some details over. So Client Attraction Summit, live in Birmingham next Saturday, the 7th. It's an all-day event, and you can have a virtual ticket if you type CAS. Was that a good pitch, Michaela?
I like that. Yeah, very successful. I love that.
Very succinct, no faffing around.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go. Have a blessed weekend. If you're in the UK, have a nice bank holiday. We'll see you all soon. Love you lots. Bye.